What's up, guys? It is another Hot Take Tuesday live on a Wednesday. So I'm excited. We're going to be talking about another Wes Anderson film. So please enjoy. Oh, hello. Trying to get my guest on here.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey,
Oh man, it's doing that to me again. Okay. So, quick disclaimers, Joey. I
Mhm.
can't see you, but
Okay.
when it's right now, everyone else should be able to see both of us when they come on, and
Mm-hmm.
when I do the playback, it's going to show both of us. I'm just telling you this so you're like, why is she looking at me weird?
Got
No, it's because I
it.
can't see you.
Got it. Got it.
Quick disclaimer. So how are you doing? What's the haps? What's the haps?
The haps is I'm really excited to talk about this movie because I originally went to you with the idea because I'm a playwright. I've been an actor on stage, and of course there's that intrinsic theatricality that we ascribe to Wes Anderson. But I actually came, in rewatching Royal Tenenbaums, which is a movie I've seen I think three times, two and a
Mm,
half at least. Yeah, exactly. I realized something that I think he's more about storybooks. I think he's less,
storybooks.
yeah, yeah, I think it's less the stage and it's more about storybooks.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
if you think about it, that would make sense. Um, because think about this. Which honestly, this movie I don't think has it, but most of his movies have like a miniature sized version of the set
Mm,
that they use for filming for some purpose, whatever. Sometimes it's an opening shot or whatnot. But this one doesn't have that, and I think it's because of the type of story it is and the story they're telling. I don't
mm,
recall any kind of like miniature set
yeah.
in any of the scenes.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is also
but
his, yeah,
mm.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, this is also his third movie. This was so far he's done. I want to say like I have some notes actually. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
good.
wanted to make sure I was prepared. Yeah, so he's done Bottle Rocket. He's done Rushmore. There you go. He's done Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, The Royal Tenenbaums, and right after this, he's gonna do another The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and
Mm.
yeah, that is a miniature, but also as a matter of fact, I think I'm not sure if it's also like he built the whole thing because you see kind of this two-dimensional kind of Barbie house thing with this ship where one room will be the main center, one room will be the stairwell, room will be this, and he'll pan over in these long takes, very similar to this close to the last shot
Yeah.
in Royal Tenenbaums, where
Mm-hmm.
I found this out. Ben Stiller was not aware that he thought there was going to be coverage when they're panning after the car runs into the house and the fire truck comes, like they pan, how they pan across every element, every
Yeah.
part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's how he shows in The Life Aquatic, this next movie. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that like some years ago. I saw that. I vaguely remember. I definitely enjoyed it. Not one of my
Mm,
favorite Wes Andersons
no.
out of all the other ones, but I did enjoy it. I did find enjoyment in it. Um,
In
so
such a yeah, in
no,
an
go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, it's weird. It's so hard with guys like this where it's almost like I enjoy all the movies, but if I'm gonna do a ranking, I can't really pick my favorite. But even though I do love Grand Budapest Hotel the most, it's all
It's pretty high up there.
there you go. There you go. That you would have to put Life Aquatic at the bottom, I think, because it's actually something. Because I watched the commentary, the Criterion Channel commentary for this movie, where Wes goes over every scene, and he mentioned something when, like during Richie's suicide, he says, "Death was a new topic for me. I wasn't sure that, like." if it could, it would destroy destroy the tone of the movie. And I think that's what's the problem with Life Aquatic. You know, the death
Mm.
kind of, I think the death, after the death, it kind of makes no sense to me,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like, I think we lose some traction.
Okay, so for those who are just popping on, we're talking about the World Tenenbaums, but we're
Hmm.
kind of, it's Wes Anderson, so we're definitely going to be like, leaking over into other movies. So feel
Sure.
free to drop your comments and whatnot, guys.
Please
So
do.
I want to say this, and I think you were on the live that I did with Sierra and Daniel, where I made it explicitly known that Asteroid City is my least favorite Wes Anderson movie. So I
Mm,
like that.
mm.
For me, Life Aquatic above that, definitely above that. I not
Fascinating.
a fan of Asteroid City. Not a
Really?
fan.
Really? That's crazy. I actually love I saw that movie in theaters and I absolutely loved that movie. I
Mm.
really did. Yeah. So interesting. Interesting. Huh. So what specifically?
Oh
No.
my god.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own
No,
opinion.
no,
That's
no, 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 no,
what
no, no,
happened.
no. Let me no. What was funny is the
Oh.
the sound effect was like
Yeah.
Joe was like, I can't believe you said this to me.
Oh no, that's not even what I meant. I meant more like a huh. More like a I meant that. You know, I just my voice is squeaky or something like that.
Oh
But
no, it's fine.
yeah. But no, everyone's
Um,
entitled to their own opinion, absolutely. And you know, I get it. Like I said, Asteroid City is really diving in because what Wes has done interviews where he says like, I wanted to be, in the theater. I have aspirations to the theater, so that's probably why it leaks into my filmography. Interesting enough, Wes shares a lot of attributes with Quentin Tarantino. Actually, you know,
mm.
in both their
Another one I love.
absolutely, absolutely one of my all-time favorites. And he and Tarantino actually both have aspirations for the theater. Like if you've seen Hateful Eight, you know that is absolutely a play. He's talked about doing Reservoir Dogs as a play. And here's what's funny about Wes Anderson, and this is why I'm talking. This is why I kind of wanted to bring up the storybook concept. You can't really do a Wes Anderson movie as a play. There's there's too many layers. It is absolutely a frame narrative in the way that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is a frame narrative. Going back to our favorite movie, Grand Budapest Hotel, it's actually three frame narratives within itself. It's a gift, it's a present.
So what I will say first, Big Guy 389. I right now I would love to have you come on for another show. I see you trying to join. But you cannot type. You guys can type your comments and your questions, and we'll read them and talk and answer with you guys. But it's funny you say that. I agree with you actually, except for Asteroid City. I really believe that movie would have been so much better as a play. I know that it was almost basically a stage
Oh,
play, but like,
oh, sorry, I did it again, didn't I? I did it again, didn't I? Interesting.
no, it's good. It's good. No, it's it's
No,
good. It's
no,
good.
that's
No,
just
I
really
just
surprising to me. Like,
as a live as a live stage play, I honestly wholeheartedly believe I would have enjoyed Astro City much more. Um, there's a story within stage plays and movies, but there seems to be a different level of wrap up in movies that you don't necessarily have to do with stage plays. And I feel like part of my issue with Asteroid City was how some of the some of the characters serve no purpose or there was no resolution. Even a loose end is fine, but it's just I didn't like how it was done. But I will say um, I'm glad I watched it.
mm,
Now,
yeah, there's
before
movies
we
like that. There's movies
yeah
like that.
before we kind of like go down the Asteroid City hole, I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to I want to kind of get back into Royal Tenenbaums because I watched this honestly for the first time. I watched this I want to say maybe 8 or 9 years ago,
Mm,
and then I rewatched it for the live, for my second watch.
Mm.
Um, and within that 8 years, I have, I'm looking at it with different eyes. I'm observing different things, and so still love it, still awesome.
Mm.
And there's more within it that I was like, oh, okay, more for me to examine that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I want to kind of, I don't feel like we need to ask the question, did you like the movie or not? Obviously, we enjoy Rose
Mm-hmm.
Tenenbaums. It's not a question, so we can go jump
Sure.
right over that. Um, so, uh, what I want to talk about is the fact of them being child prodigies, the three main children, and the pressures of child prodigies.
Mm.
And I loved how he used their wardrobe to exemplify how they were frozen in time at their peak. Because
Mm.
even though Richie did not quit tennis until he was 26, I feel like I feel like all of their peaks were like not too far out of childhood. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And Wes actually talks about this. He says he tries to make their outfits very reminiscent of when they were kids. Except for Ben Stiller's character, who here's what's really funny. Ben asked him about why the tracksuit. And then Wes said, well, it's this idea that, he feels danger after his wife's death. He feels danger, like they need to move out quick, 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 quick. They need to be ready at all times. Here's the fact of the matter: Wes just really liked how it
mm,
looked, and he actually made
mm,
he actually had the company make those suits in a very specific cut way because they don't
mm,
make them any.
mm.
The company didn't actually make them like that anymore. It
Oh,
didn't make that specific type of red. Yeah, yeah, and that tells you something about Wes's just style. But yeah, your whole you want to talk about the child prodigy thing and how they're kind of stuck there. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like so, only Ben really changes outfits because
mm-hmm.
of this whole thing, and yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And can I just say this that I want even one of their rooms, honestly. I want so badly. I want that level of proficiency in my
Mm-hmm.
wardrobe that young Ben Stiller has.
Oh,
I
it
want
was.
yeah, I want Margot's bookshelf. I want Margot's bookshelf because I'm seeing Pirandello, I'm seeing Beckett, I'm seeing Neil Simon, these Neil Simon collections. Yeah, we don't have time to go upstairs to my room. Yeah, we don't have we have things to talk about because I have a big library. It's just not as organized as that one, which I love that. I love it
A-
so much.
Aspirations. So
Aspiration.
it's funny. Thank you. Like it's funny the tracksuit you mentioned, the explanation, because okay, cool. Because like my looking at it was like, um, for me the tracksuits were like kind of like muting muting his emotions, muting what he's going through, like because he keeps trying to avoid not dealing with the fact that you have not sought help about and gone over the real grief of losing your wife,
Mm.
of being a widower, and that's how I was looking at it, and that's how I understood the change of wardrobe.
Mm. It's
But
running away
like
from his problem. He's running away from all of his problems, essentially.
yes, but I like that. I like that a lot. I want to dive quickly into
Okay.
Margot.
Okay.
So,
Great. I
um,
love this Gwyneth Paltrow performance. I love this
uh,
Gwyneth Paltrow
one
performance.
of my favorites.
Mm.
One of my
Yeah. I
favorites
mean, Hard
from her.
Eight is one of my all-time favorite movies, but just this is one of those performances where you're like, it's quirky, but not too quirky. It's like,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's one of these things where where a leading actress like Margot, like Scarlett, what did I say, Margot? Well, you know what? You know what? Great. Let's add Margot Robbie to this conversation. So Gwyneth Paltrow, Scarlett Johansson, Margot Robbie, all of them kind of branded as leading actresses, but then if you give them a character part, they just
Yes.
shine. They just shine.
Yes.
Scarlett Johansson, one of her best performances. I'll say this: it really is something like Ghost in the Shell.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
Black and kind of Black Widow because Black Widow is it's a character.
Honestly, like I have to give her props for Black Widow. Because honest, let's be real. Big, comic book character. Big thing is like sex in the suit, and
Oh, oh, that's not even a
she went beyond
question.
it.
That's
She went beyond it. Like she was
mhm.
able, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like of course the story, the writing, they gave her more to work with, and she met,
yeah,
rose to the task,
yeah.
and
But
it was just like,
yeah, and of course, like that's immediately addressed in Iron Man 2, like where they're like, "Oh, ooh, girl, or ooh," Stark's immediately like, "Ooh, hello, hello, hey, wait a minute,"
I want
and there's
one.
yeah, exactly, oh yeah, exactly, a hysterical line, and then John Favreau just goes in the ring with her, and like, boom, over, done, and yeah, but like Liev Schreiber when he was doing this Arthur Miller play called A View from the Bridge with her on Broadway. People don't realize this. Scarlett Johansson has a Tony Award. People
You
don't.
are correct. Did
Yeah,
not realize this. I'm people. Did not know this.
exactly.
What?
So there are so many actors who they'll put Oscar nominated, and I'll say this: this is not my original idea. This was Ryan McCartan and Sam Feneke when they had their YouTube channel together.
Mm-hmm.
They said, why not put in a movie trailer? Why not put Tony Award winning actress Scarlett Johansson? Which I'm like, please, please, please. But anyway, Leo Schreiber, he talked about this. This was post Ghost World, where she was going into like more leading female parts after
Mm-hmm.
she got out of the kid thing. What did I say? The kid thing when she grew up a little bit, and he said,
Yeah.
Hollywood's kind of immediately sexualizing her. This is just what this is kind of what they're doing already to her, and
Yeah.
that's just what happened. And it's tough. It's the worst. I'm actually in the middle of producing a movie directing a movie I wrote about an actress auditioning for a playwright actually, and just what it means. Because it's not natural. It goes against every evolutionary instinct and every evolutionary all evolutionary progress we've made is to because it's defense to
Yeah.
survival of the fit for those who are not big tough animals who are not predators. They have to be in defense. That's the survival of the fittest is the defense. So for him to go for an actress to go have at it. Have at it. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, I want to impress you. I want to impress you. I'm subjecting myself to you, to predators, to the casting. And by the way, this applies for male actors. Absolutely, but yeah, absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah. I
It's
saw.
more.
I saw Thor: Love and Thunder. It was
Oh,
a
that was
shame what they
yeah,
did to
yeah,
Thor
yeah.
with Zeus. That was not nice.
Christian Bale was amazing. Christian Bale was amazing.
Yes,
But
yes, Christian.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So Nosferatu, like that's gonna be playing soon.
Yeah.
I actually that new Robert Eggers movie based on, of course, the every iteration of Nosferatu going back to the 1923, and then of course Werner Herzog's amazing remake of it. But I really thought when I saw all that, I'm like, oh, Christian Bale's gonna be Nosferatu. He's gonna be Dracula. Yay, yay, yay! I really thought that was it, but
He could have done
yeah.
it. He could have done it.
He would have been amazing. He would have been amazing. Yeah.
So let's get back on to
I'm
Margot.
yeah,
Um,
I don't yeah, I
no
can't
worries,
believe
no
we've gone.
worries, no
I can't
worries.
believe. Yeah. So Gwyneth Paltrow
I can.
yeah,
I can.
there you go. The rabbit hole that we went down was because we're saying Gwyneth how much we love Gwyneth Paltrow in this performance.
Yes. So okay. So and this was my takeaway. When I, finding more about her character. For the Royal Tenenbaums guys, if you're wondering, Wes Anderson. So Margot was always disregarded by Royal Gene Hackman. Always disregarded,
Mm.
right? And I feel like she married, and I hate to kind of like, but at our core, we are who we are. I feel like she married Bill Murray
Yeah.
because it was kind of like her father figure,
Mm.
and I feel like her cheating on him constantly was her secret hatred for her father. Like Do you understand what I mean? Like she's
I
like,
completely understand what you mean, and there's actually a couple tidbits there. You know that a lot of people, because of because there was apparently animosity on the set between Gene Hackman and Wes Anderson. Gene
oh
Hackman,
yes.
yeah, but you know what's really funny is Gene Hackman comes out of this school of acting. He is a curmudgeon. He is apparently his best friend is Dustin Hoffman, and we know how a bit of a control freak, how bit of a curmudgeon, how big of a curmudgeon they come. If you actually watch this interview for this movie they did called Runaway Jury, you see Gene Hackman refer to Dustin Hoffman as, well, Dusty, and I'm like, that's the sweetest thing I've ever heard, is him calling him Dusty. But yeah, you're right. You're right. There is that intrinsic nature of this classic man, because in Gene Hackman, and so everyone thinks, because Bill Murray and Wes Anderson, they've just done a movie together, Rushmore, of course, and like they're gonna keep doing
Mm-hmm.
movies together, keep doing movies together. In retrospect, people have thought, oh well, obviously the studio wanted Gene Hackman, obviously Bill Murray was meant to play this part. It's actually not true. Wes wanted Gene Hackman so badly for this part because he thought he was perfect. And Bill Murray,
He is.
he really is. He really is.
He
And
really
you're
is.
talking about, yeah, and you're talking about like this disregard from Royal. Royal doesn't seem to be like a presence. You see from when he sits across from the table in this like kind of a Citizen Kane type style, this distance between
Mm-hmm.
them. You
Yep.
see this idea that he's not a cruel rich father who's obsessed with his position, as we see from when the kids see him in the elevator, operating the elevator. It's not this tragic moment because Royal hasn't put in the effort enough, doesn't care enough about his position. He likes money, he likes living well, he likes having money, he likes being rich. But when the time comes, he just wants to hang out with Kumar, their manservant.
Yes.
He essentially, it's a buddy comedy.
Pagoda. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
pagoda.
now something that Richie says to him, older, he's, when
Yeah.
he apologized to him for not like being around after, I guess the whole tennis thing.
Mm,
And Richie says, it's okay, I understood. I know how you don't appreciate or you don't take to disappointment, something to that degree.
sure.
So I think the problem with him was he treated his children like trophies more so than his children. Like they were trophies. They were extensions of him and how
Uh,
awesome his his
yeah.
offspring are. And
I don't even think that. I think he sees them as little adults in a way. I think he actually
mm,
sees this is what I'm saying. I don't think there's any kind, I totally see what you're saying. I absolutely see what you're saying. And actually, there's that line where that he says, these, as he turns away, as he's been caught in the lie, he turns and he says, these few days have been the best in my life. And the narrator, who has been, of course, Alec Baldwin, has,
yes,
he jumps in very very sporadically. The
sparingly.
narrator,
Hmm. Yeah.
sparingly is a better word, absolutely, than sporadically. Yeah, he jumps in. And he says, and at that moment, Royal knew it was true.
Mm.
For the first time, he's kind of, yeah. I'm getting teary eyed too. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure, guys. No, yeah, no, but really, this is what I'm saying. I don't think he acknowledges them as as trophies, or as disappointments, or I just don't think he acknowledges them as his children. I think he's a self-absorbed character. He's
Hmm.
absolutely, and he's kind of just, you get this sense that that in another life he'd be a con man, he'd be a tin man, he'd be just a
Wait,
guy.
what do you mean another life? He was technically, well, I guess he wasn't conning his son
Yeah,
Chaz.
yeah,
He stole
yeah,
from him,
sure,
and he was mooching off the hotel.
yeah.
But I see what you're saying,
No,
and
he's an absolute schmuck, but I don't think he is doing, and I don't think he regards them as his children. I think he's too self-absorbed to really care one way or the other.
I think you're right because there was when he saw Margot's play when she was young and she did that play, and he said something like he was harshly critiquing it, and
Yes, yes,
he
you're
saw
absolutely right.
he
But I
he,
think
he saw that
yeah,
he saw she didn't take it well, and his line to her, actually even wrote it down. His line to her was, what was it? Was it because one something about, it's only one man's opinion, like, and
yeah.
my follow up was immediately, but you're the opinion that counts.
But he doesn't realize, but he doesn't acknowledge that
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. I think he sees them not as his kids but actually as adults. He actually
Mm,
sees them as people who can, he treats them like socialites. He treats them like his fellow socialites. He really does.
true.
He almost doesn't see a kid. He's almost like he's not a good parent. He's not a
No.
good parent. We can both acknowledge that.
uh
That's
hence my hot take was about his parenting.
there you go.
he
Yeah.
he made all the wrong choices like you can make as a parent.
Yeah, but
I was like,
but it's interesting. Is it because does he make the wrong choice as a parent because he doesn't see himself as a parent because he can't acknowledge the kids as kids, you know?
I I I think he doesn't acknowledge them kids as kids
Mm,
until at the end of the movie when he is
yeah.
really like, because honestly, like, that's the softest, kindest I heard. Like you said, like, I heard him speak to them.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
we didn't get much of them young, but we got enough. We got enough
Yeah.
to pull conclusions from how he speaks to them, how he is with them.
Yeah.
My question is to you. So is Richie the oldest?
Richie is no. Richie is the tennis player. So
Right.
I believe yeah, and so no, Ben Stiller's character is.
Okay. So I guess what I wondered, the one thing that I didn't really I didn't know, was why was Richie his favorite?
Richie was his favorite because you just have favorites, I think. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. I think that, we don't want like I don't believe, my parents, I really, I'm one of five altogether. I'm the oldest of five actually.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
and I think your brother's on here, so watch your words carefully,
oh hey,
Joey.
hey, Anthony. Hey, there you are, Anthony. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. If anyone's the favorite, we actually do have a joke in the house that our brother Zion, we call him the favorite child. So that's
Mm,
but yeah, but no, I really, that's a joke because there really is not a favorite. My parents have done a really good job. If they
yeah.
do have a favorite, they've hidden it very well. Oh, Anthony just put he just wrote choose carefully.
Choose carefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
No, I really don't. If there is a favorite, I don't know it because my parents have loved us all equally,
yes.
really. Back to your question, why does he love Richie? I think you just prefer different people, and the same way that I think in the same way you prefer your friends.
Hmm.
Prefer adults differently, and not even for any real reason. Maybe because he's an athlete. If I'm gonna go with just the most stereotypical thing, oh yeah, Papa's so proud we got an athlete in the family. You
So,
know?
all right. So here's what I'll say. So I don't. You're right. Like, normal parents
I
don't
wouldn't
have
say.
a well, when I say normal, I mean, in this context, normal parents don't have a favorite specifically. Like, you like normal in in the lens of, we're not talking about the extreme versions of, like, any kind of abuse or
Mm,
ridiculous this or like, that's what I mean. I apologize. I
sure.
mean, like, no, that's what I'm talking about in that
Mm,
context. Um, or I would I'll word it this way: the normal thing is that there are not usually favorite children. There are just children that um that are they don't stir as much waves, or or they kind of like really listen to you and do what you say, um, and you don't love them more. It's just okay. This one's easier to guide. This one I'm gonna have to fight with. Let me get ready. That type of thing. And then the other thing about it is the youngest usually gets more allowances, not because of the favor, but because by the time you reach the youngest, you're kind of like tired. You're like, okay, just whatever. I don't even have the energy.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
is sometimes misconstrued as a favor when it's really just your parents are tired.
Sure, sure, sure. But Royal seems anything but tired in this
No, no, no,
movie.
no, no. Listen, Royal, like, I hear what you're saying, but the reason why I don't even apply it to Royal is because he specifically took Richie to go see his mother, like Royal's
Mm.
mother, and never took the other two kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, yeah, yeah. I really can't see any other. I can't see any reason. I can't see any reason. Maybe there's an element to. Yeah, maybe there's an element to the fact that she was a nurse, which is very interesting to me because in the painting she's a nurse. So I don't know what in the world that means. I
Mm.
Again, I saw that oil portrait of his mother in the background, and I'm like,
Mhm.
she's a nurse, so she's not an aristocrat. That's got to mean something. So and I of course like articulate. I thought to myself, oh, maybe that's why he had like he want. That's why maybe why he goes back because there's this intrinsic sense of needing to heal in him. So that's why he needs to
Mhm.
go back to them. But I don't. Yeah, I really don't have a reason why he would take Richie and not them. And there are just those unanswered questions with children and parents.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially when you got a guy as messed up as Royal. Honestly, not I shouldn't say even messed up as just unlogical as Royal is.
You know what? I'll allow messed up because he does some messed up things.
Sure,
That that
sure,
that connects.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
um. So, uh, what I want to say about that? There was one line. This is towards the end when things have kind of been resolved and like throughout the wedding after everything, whatever. And Henry says to Royal, he says, "You're not an asshole. You're just a son of a bitch." And
The
Royal was like, "Thank you." And I was just like,
Yeah,
I would like some more context. I like some more understanding because
sure,
I'm like, when
sure.
you say you're a son of a bitch, are you kind of saying that this is how you were raised? This is your personality, and I know that you're trying to go beyond it because an asshole goes out of their way to be an asshole,
Hmm.
to be bad.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I liked the line, and I just
yeah.
kind of sat there and thought about it. So
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's probably the most yeah, that boils Royal down because he's not an at but I think you are but no, that's a really interesting take that one day I'm sure someone's written a book about profanities and what they really do mean,
yeah,
but when I hear that line, it just makes complete sense to me. I'm like, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because there is a difference between an asshole and a son of a bitch. It really does come to the fact of a son of a bitch almost has like this kind of intrinsic macho-ness, this intrinsic kind of cool guy thing. Like Jack Nicholson. He's a son of a
mm,
bitch.
mm,
You
mm,
know?
mm,
Whereas
mm. Great
whereas
example.
yeah. Whereas someone like someone like say oh man, I'm gonna offend someone here. There's a difference. Let's put it like that. Let's put it like that.
Oh, thought you were gonna say
No,
it.
no,
Okay.
I can't. I can't. I
All
can't.
right.
You know what?
All right.
Yeah.
You know
I'm not
what?
gonna say it.
D,
No.
DM me later. I'd like to know
Sh-
who.
Absolutely.
Okay, between
Absolutely.
us.
I gotta think about this actually. I gotta think about this actually.
So, and I'm gonna start just uh moving to Richie. Well, kind of extending more into Richie. The fact that I think he started wearing the shades when he was playing tennis. Yes.
Yes.
And then he saw Margot with her new husband, and I think he kept the shades on and did not
Yes.
take them off until, and the reason, uh, I think, is one of those like movie famous, quotes like the eyes are the windows to the soul. Like he was
Mm.
broken. He was
Sure.
broken hearted, and it was like the easiest protection for him. So when he decided to grow beyond who he was, but his motive was not great, right? What he was
Hmm.
planning to do wasn't great, but you know, he didn't put them back on. I'm trying to think his his attempt on his own life, right? We know where
Hmm.
it stemmed from. We know exactly where it stemmed from. Why, why do you think that he had resolved not to do it again?
The sunglasses?
No, the attempt on his life.
The attempt on his life. He doesn't do it because, funny thing, this movie is actually heavily influenced by this old Louis Malle movie called The Fire Within, which of course, I recommend everybody check out everything Louis Malle has done, particularly My Dinner with Andre. But
Mm.
essentially, like that line, like "Tomorrow I take my life." That's a line from the movie, and then he immediately does it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I really wish I knew more about suicide. But all I can say is this. All I can say is this.
Well,
The
no one
reason he doesn't
really
do it
knows,
again,
you know.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And usually the person who takes their own life sometimes doesn't know, and
Mm-hmm.
so we all, it's sometimes an impossible situation, and but sure, no, yeah. I would probably say if he goes back home and Margot isn't that in that in the fort. I don't know what happens after that, but the fact of the matter is that's almost like exactly what he, he wanted to happen was
Mm.
I just want to go home and be with the girl I love. By the way, um so that romance, what do we think about that?
Okay, before we get into that, 'cause I have
Great,
a
great,
question. Before
great.
we even get into that, um, Bill Murray, when Bill Murray like confronts her and like tells her about herself,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which she just accepts because she's like, "You're right, you're right, you're right." Um, he says to her, "You nearly killed your brother." When do you think he knew?
Oh, Richie?
When do you think Bill Murray knew that Richie was in love with Margot?
Well, obviously, Bill Murray's character was there when all three, him, Dudley, the kid he's looking after, and Richie, they were all there at the PI investigation. And by the way, the reason I think he does try to commit suicide is because it's funny. You brought this up before. They are kind of living in their childhoods still.
Yeah,
So when he gets all this information that almost in a way Margot has kind of had a life outside of this kind of insular bubble, because he's like, well, okay,
hmm,
I haven't progressed, but at least my siblings haven't either, you know,
yeah,
and maybe he wants to live in that, maybe a pure virgin idea of her is bet,
yeah,
and so when that's crushed, like, you know and as much as much crazy stuff is in this movie, essentially the first half is it is kind of a comedy gone awire by the end,
yeah, yeah.
because Wes Anderson does make comedies.
Well, I think he uh expertly sandwiches this movie between the comedy, and then we have like the real drama of like, oh, there's more to these, like they're hurting more than you think, and then the well, it's not tragic because he lives, but like the tragic incident, and then
Mm,
we end with comedy. So like so it's
yeah.
not a huge roller coaster ride he's bringing you on. It's kind of like lulls, highs
Mm.
and lows, and he does it very like balance.
It's funny, like because it ends with Royal's death, and I like that you think of that as a comedy. But no,
Because
okay,
it's Tombstone, but
it's
go ahead, go
actually
ahead.
no, but you're absolutely right. And by the way, I do, and I'm glad you brought up the Tombstone because I do want to go into this. When Richie slits his wrist, the movie does change. The movie
Mm-hmm.
changes not only from an emotional point of view, not only from a psychological point of view. I'm talking about the filmmaking actually changes because when he rides home in the bus, he's in the back of the bus after he's just escaped from the after he's just left the hospital. He's on the
Yeah,
back of the bus, and of course that's evocative of the last scene in The Graduate. That's evocative of Midnight Cowboy. All these kind of tragic ends in movies, and
yeah,
actually this was interesting to find out. There was a song that was playing on the bus, and that song it was actually written by I wrote down the name. It was a song by Nick Drake, who actually ended up killing himself very short after this.
oof,
So I know it's a whole meta thing, but actually after this, it's so weird. The last 15 minutes, the cuts aren't as harsh. The cuts are not as sudden and harsh.
yeah,
He actually hangs on to an image for a little bit,
yeah,
like when and he even
yeah,
and even at the and like this is all going back to the epitaph. It says the one he had picked out before. He rescued his family from a burning ship as it went down a wreck. Hilarious. He
yeah,
puts a reaction shot there. He puts a
mm-hmm.
reaction shot with the priest because it goes, and then the epitaph, and then you know,
Yeah,
Wes Anderson doesn't do that. Wes Anderson does not do that. The jokes are presented like in a storybook. You have these crowds around. Like this is how he does. Like this is how he does exposition, and it's one of the best. It's the quickest way. He literally just puts wording here and then a crowd like in a children's book, which is why I think his
yeah,
animations are among his best work because he has that um, children's book sensitivity. His aesthetic is completely a children's book, so but anyway, the jokes tend to be like there's a narration or a quick cut to just the joke, but
yeah.
he puts a reaction shot in there. Why? Because the movie has changed. The movie has changed.
And you know what? It's funny you say that because okay, so a big thing that I really appreciate, big for me, appreciate about Wes Anderson is like each of the movies that I've seen from him have their own color theme. Like these are the specific colors that it's going to be all within. And the colors here, you had yellows and tans and this and that. But when he is in the bathroom making that decision,
Yeah.
blue,
Yep. Yep.
blue,
Yeah.
and
It's
and it
almost
was
gray.
so.
It's almost
Yes, and
gray.
it was so contradicting to the rest
Yeah.
of the movie because you didn't have like hints of blue like
Yeah.
that. It was just bam in your
Yeah.
face, and I was like, so you're right as far as
Yeah.
that the tone change, the lighting change, the camp there's a shift, and he let us know um
Yeah.
in this way,
Even
which I
in yeah.
appreciated.
Absolutely. And even in the ambulance, he does this shot that he's done before where it's Ben Stiller in like if you have any people who are really versed in framing, then I'm going to get a bunch of comments saying that's not right. But in almost like in like a loose medium close up, you have Ben looking like this, and then you have an overhead of Royal like with the mask, and then cut back to Ben, cut back to
Mm-hmm.
Royal above. This is a
Oh,
shot he's already done, but the shots have been edited so sharply, so quick, so as to be so matter of fact. Like flip a page, see a new thing. This one he holds for just a little bit longer, for
low
just a
angle,
little bit.
high angle, yeah,
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 yeah. So he's
yeah,
actually he's made our brains just. Wes is one of these guys who is such an like one of those guys who the term auteur really does stick, where auteur
mm-hmm.
really does capture him because we can say a
Yes,
lot of people are auteurs, and a lot of people just aren't. So and especially, and it's so hard because a camera can only move in so many ways, can only do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea of positioning a character straight here, looking down the lens. Very few directors have been able to integrate that into their style. One of them is my favorite director, my favorite American director, Jonathan Demme, who does Silence of the Lambs, Something Wild. If you haven't seen everything Jonathan Demme's done, watch it. His documentaries, his performance films. I mean, it's some of the greatest. And also his documentaries can be subdivided into a million categories. But I just watch everything Jonathan Demme's ever done. He has the subjective lens where Hannibal Lecter, for the best example, is staring straight into the camera, looking, giving his POV. You know what I say is some cheap shoes. Yeah, it is so hard to
Mm-hmm.
integrate that into your style of filmmaking, to actually make
Yes.
that part of you and not break your tension. Wes is able to do this because of the storybook concept. And
Yes.
and to stay on, I don't know if your viewers are actually very familiar with the 180-degree rule, but essentially the 180-degree rule is this rule in filmmaking that
Mm-hmm.
there's a that in your scene blocking, the camera can only move 100. Like, say my pen is the subject. Okay, the
Yes.
camera can only move from here around to here, but cannot go past this point.
Yes.
Paul Thomas Anderson, since in Phantom Thread, because he was showing this kind of power dynamic, he did actually cross the line, which was, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson, one of the greatest of all time, because he could do
They
that. But
they did
so to
that in
stand,
the Dark Knight as well.
they did do that in the Dark Knight, absolutely, and the rules do sometimes change when you are
Mm-hmm.
doing an action thing. That's a whole
Well,
different conversation.
well, you're right.
Sure.
So one of the instances in Dark Knight, real quick, where they did it was when Batman is like he's interviewing, like interrogating, excuse me, Joker,
Sure. I don't
and
think you go like this for an interview, but yeah.
but like
One of the
what I'm
greatest
saying
movies
is
of all
like
time.
there was a shift and a change that was incorrect because it was done on purpose to signify that Joker had taken
Yeah.
control. So like
It's a power, like I said,
yes,
in Phantom Thread, it's about like switching the camera.
yeah,
I'm sorry, crossing the 180-degree rule. It's a
yeah,
power struggle. Whose perspective are we really watching? It's all about the
yes.
180-degree rule is about perspective. Anyway, but to stand on this 180-degree rule, it's kind of cheeky for Anderson to do. It is very, very. It's almost like saying to the mainstream audience, hey, taunting them, saying, "Ooh, I'm about to step over the line," like you do with a little sibling or
Oh,
something like that, or a friend. You say, "Oh, look," like drawing a line. Essentially,
yeah.
the medium of film has drawn a line in the sand. That's what they've done, and for
Mm,
you to stand on that line is testing them. Godard did this the first in Breathless, which where at the end, she's looking straight. She looks straight into the camera because that's the final of a whole movie
mm-hmm.
of just screw you mainstream film. We're doing our own thing. So yeah, it's a whole movie of that. Yeah.
Um, can, can
So
I say
sure.
this is separately when they get pulled into the closet that's full of board games?
Mm.
I was a little jealous of the amount of board games that they had
Don't even start. Don't even start.
because
Wes was yeah.
I
Wes
mean I had
yeah.
board games, and we have them now, but
Mm.
like never like I'm
Yeah.
like
But yeah, absolutely, I've been to friends' houses where I don't, and I had before we threw them all away. We had a lot of board games just in the closet, and Wes
mm,
talked about this. He says, like a lot of people, I just noticed, even in my own house, we just had this room full of board games. So, and he said, I wanted to take that to the next level. So the
oh
idea
you
that they
did
go into the idea that they go into this little closet, it shut the door, black light, boom. Okay, you and I, we're going to go, basically Ben is saying, listen, we're going back. Okay, we're out of the real world. We're going straight into my child, we're surrounded by my childhood. So I'm bringing up all my childhood feelings to you. So Ben leaves in a rage. Gene's, he closes the door, turns on the light. He wants to bask here a little longer,
mm,
you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then we're like, oh well, obviously he's back. He's like looking around. He's nostalgic about his kids. He looks down. He's like, there you are. Oh, this is a board game from the past. No, it's the head it's that boar's head that his
That was
wife
missing
took
out
down
so
when that ostentatious head that his wife put away, and that Richie puts back when he visits the house again after he escapes.
so let me tell you this about the boardroom as well, because
The
yes, Wes
boardroom.
wanted to boardroom,
I love it.
the board game
No,
closet. So
let's call
yes,
it the board. I like the boardroom. I like we'll
boardroom,
call it the boardroom.
the boardroom. So yes, Wes wanted to like really amp it up, but the thing about what that tells me, because think about it, we're talking child prodigies, yes, who like you would think a child prodigy would be like working on that thing all the time, but to see that they had a closet full of games tells you that there was love and freedom for them to be, you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
away from. I'm not only just like and you don't get to see that. So when I saw that, I was like, you know, I already attribute that, okay, to Ethline, to the mom.
Eileen. Yeah.
That's all. That's all.
The
Sorry.
great
That's all.
Angelica Houston. The great
Yes.
Angelica
Oh
Houston.
my gosh, I freaking love Angelica
Oh,
Houston.
oh my
Um.
gosh. Yeah. Prizzy's
So
Honor, Husbands and Wives. Matt. Just yeah. She's actually the daughter of the great John Huston. The great director. That she and Jack Nicholson had this
yeah,
very
yeah,
famous relationship, and
yep.
that she has the one of the best lines ever about that. She says, Jack would be on they did Chinatown together with Roman Polanski, who John Huston would always refer to as Roman, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a whole different thing. But Angelica said this about Jack. She said, and I was shocked. I was really upset when I found out how much he really did remind me of my father. And then he said, like, they should have just met. They loved hanging out. They were best friends. He said they should have married. They should have married each other. He said they would have been so happy if they got married.
Mm.
And I really do believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, Angelica's a great Angelica. The more she talks today, she does a lot of interviews
Mhm.
today, and she's just recent. More recently, like in 2015 on the James Corden show and at the 92nd Street Y, she's like, "Look, I'm sick of talking about him. I'm sick of it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right." Because I
Mm.
very much doubt that Jack has to answer as many questions as she does.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's
Yeah.
retired from acting, but
Mhm.
absolutely not. And of course, he
Sure.
doesn't.
No, but I'm saying at the
Um,
time. At the time.
right.
Yeah.
Then
But they were the it
I
couple.
still agree.
Yeah, they were the but they were I'm sorry I'm diverting by the way. But it's actually so you really do buy that Angelica and Gene Hackman were a couple
Yeah.
and did break up because Gene Hackman and Jack Nicholson were kind of in that same area, school of acting, that same
Yeah.
kind of pool of celebrities, him, Dustin Hoffman, Jack. And so it is cool to kind of see like, oh, this would be a Jack Nicholson and Angelica Houston relationship if they were in the upper crust of America
So
or
real quick,
intelligentsia.
I have a couple of trivia things.
Bring it
I'm not
on.
gonna read all of them right
Bring it
now.
on.
But like because we're talking about Gene Hackman in the part, I wanted to see. So Gene Hackman had mentioned in interviews that he was somewhat hesitant to accept the part as he felt that he himself had been insensitive to his own family at different points in his life. He asked them if they would find him playing this character uncomfortable for their own sakes. They all agreed he should accept the part. So when you say that, like you could see it and he really resonates with it, there's something that he pulled out of himself and instilled in this part and made it him. Which most good actors do that. They find something within that character that they can kind of connect with and everything. And I think he was afraid to connect with that part because it
Sure.
reminded him where his shortcomings. I thought that was a very
Sure.
interesting insight into that.
Yeah, that's the
So
scary ones. That's the scary parts. Where it's like,
yes,
ooh, this is a little too much like me. Ooh, this is hitting a little too close to home.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me see. When so okay, so when Gene Hackman, Royal, uh, meets his grandsons for the first time, one of the first lines that he says is what was it? Something about your
Call
mother
me
was a
Mr.
terribly no. I'm sorry for your loss. Your mother was a terribly attractive woman.
Yeah.
That's what you say to your grandsons.
This is what I'm saying. He doesn't know. He doesn't really see them as kids. But then there's
I
that
I don't
immediately
think he knows how to
changes.
handle any kids.
It's
I don't think he knows
That's
how
what
to
I
handle
mean.
any kids.
But it's so funny. But it's so funny. He almost immediately comes out of that because like, oh man, there was this. Oh God, oh boy, I don't know if we can. Oh boy, I don't know if we can talk about like an old Bill Cosby joke, but like no, okay. Essentially, the idea is grandparents get to say. Let's bring up you know what? Family matters. Family matters. There was this line that the grandmother would say all the time, like parents have to say no. Grandparents get to say yes. Grandparents get to say yes.
Yes.
So essentially, yeah, it's the idea of an old person they're a little more lenient with kids. So he almost learns how to be a parent from this little escapade with the grandkids.
I
You
agree.
know, yeah, and suddenly, he comes in with suddenly all this parenting advice, like, you shouldn't do this to kids. Kids need to be kids need to be reckless.
Yeah.
And then Angelica Houston is immediately like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And Gene Hackman's like, no, you don't. And by the way, she doesn't. Like you were saying with the board games, what was her name
Uh,
again?
wait, is
Ethylene?
ethylene? No.
Ethylene.
Yeah, ethylene. Ethylene.
Ethylene, like you said, she has that huge thing of board games. Obviously, she's not cracking the whip. She's obviously like wants these kids to have a great education, but she's
Mm-hmm.
not really, especially cracking the whip. She's not mommy dearest.
No.
There's no wire hanger. I very much doubt there's any wire hangers in that house. But some people know what I mean by that line. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
man, that's one of the hardest movies I ever had to watch. Mommy Dearest, by the way, heartbreaking. But anyway, yeah. So, what were we on? What were we talking about?
Angelica Houston. I'm sorry, ethylene. Her character. Like the fact that Gene
The grandkids,
Hackman Royal
the
is given.
grandkids.
Yes.
Yes, the grandkids. That immediately he's like, call me Mr. Tenenbaum. Yes, and he's like, I'm no, call me Pop Pop. Come on. And immediately they go on adventures. They're riding on the garbage truck, and then Ben rides with the garbage truck on it. It's hilarious. It's
I
hilarious.
thought it was all cute, except when they were running across traffic when it turned green. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's old school. He's
He
old
is
school.
old school for real.
Yeah,
For real,
yeah,
for real.
yeah.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe it was a good idea he didn't come into our lives until later. Because, oh my God.
Sure. But
So,
in a way, like of course Ben is just steaming mad at him at the end. And then,
mm-hmm.
it takes that car crash at the end for Owen to just who actually Owen Wilson, of course, he wrote this movie with Wes Anderson actually.
Mm.
A lot of people, and speaking of suicide, it really is so sad to have heard that Owen Wilson was at a point in his life where he did have a suicide attempt on his own life at this early stage of his life, and it was so hard to hear that because at this point he had done Bottle Rocket, he had done he was working with Wes a lot. Like he had never
Mm-hmm.
done a movie with he and his brother. Actually, there's a third Wilson. There's three Wilson brothers in this movie.
Yes, which,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
so to hear that, anyway, to hear that Owen Wilson had that moment when he's the guy who gave us, he's the guy who definitely influenced my life huge because Cars was such a huge movie for me.
Mm.
So it's hard to hear that a guy who gives you that much joy had that much sadness. Very much like a Robin Williams
That's
or a Philip
exactly who I
Seymour
was
Hoffman.
thinking of.
Yeah,
That's exactly who I was thinking of when you
yeah,
said that.
or even
Um,
Heath Ledger.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so, well, all right. So, a couple of things. The priest falling down the stairs made me laugh harder
yeah,
than I thought it would.
yeah.
It was so funny.
There's good
And
comedy bit. There's just great bits in this movie.
yes. So, as we like as we're wrapping up right now, I want to go back to Richie and Margot. And I recall that Margot had said to Richie, I think we're going to have to be secretly in love with each other, and ended at that. As far as like where we go from here. And then, for Richie to be forthcoming with Royal, I open up about that, and Royal's like, Margot? Your sister Margot?
Margot Tennant,
Yeah.
Margot
Yeah, Margot
Tenenbaum.
Tenenbaum?
Yeah, because we're all in love with Margot Robbie, but
right.
yeah.
And he says, and his initial response was like, well, I mean, I know that technically you're not brother and sister, but it is still frowned upon. But you know,
Do you remember what he said? Do you remember what he says? By the way, exactly. He says, "Yeah, of course, she's very pretty, smart as a whip."
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yes.
that's not something, that's, I'd want my I'd want my dad to have a little more of a little more insight than to
Yes,
something, again,
yes.
he sees her as someone at a cocktail party with him. He brings her to a cocktail party for her Broadway opening, I'm
So I want
sorry
to
to
pose
backtrack.
this. Oh no, you're good. You're good. I want to pose this final question to you. Do you think that Margot and Richie end up together?
Can I say something very strange?
Yeah.
I want them to. I really think I want them to, because I'm like, this is obviously, it's the classic movie question. Like, we don't want, a lot of times we don't want sequels because we really don't want to see
Yeah.
the struggle that's happening,
Yes.
Yeah, because like for
Yes.
instance, one of my favorite movies, and a forgotten masterpiece, although except to anyone who's seen it, and I would advise anyone who's watching this now to go see it, is a Midnight Run, where it's a hit. It's Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. They're on like this buddy comedy thing, and that he's a hitman, and he gets the money to start his own restaurant, and he goes away, and you're like, this guy can't start a restaurant, but yeah, go walk into the sunset, buddy. You've earned it. You've earned it. You just gave us 2.5. You just gave us 2 hours and 19 minutes of one of the best times of our lives. You go do that. You see Margot and Richie, these two profoundly messed up people, just find happiness with each other. And you're like, yeah, you go. Don't worry, it's okay. It's okay. You guys are like, okay. You guys are, it's not technically incest, so you're good. You're good. Go. Run before the police get here, essentially.
I think if they move away from everyone, they will. If they stay within the confines of being around each other, bring around the whole family, they won't. That's how I feel.
Interesting. I almost think that because these characters are the way they are, this kind of higher intelligence, this kind of deadpan logic, this kind of almost like just accepting things as
Mm-hmm.
the way they are. I almost wonder if it would just work out. Because I don't know if you've seen, another great Wes Anderson movie is Moonrise Kingdom, where this kind of
Have not.
it is so good. I would totally recommend it. Bill Murray is amazing in that movie.
Okay.
Bruce Willis giving an astounding performance. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing with kids playing out. So you see this relationship actually working out better.
Oh, okay. Then I will. So I will say end with a couple mini little trivia things. They're not huge, but
Great,
I thought they were cute.
great.
All
I've
right,
got
I
a
already read
couple.
the one. Excellent. So the hand that is seen with the BB gun
Yeah.
lodged between its knuckles is not Ben Stiller's,
Nope.
but Andrew Wilson,
Yeah.
the brother of Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson. And I thought it was so hilarious that Owen Wilson tells Luke in the movie, I just want to be a part of your family.
Yeah. And he's saying this
It's
to his
technically his
brother.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I see what you did there, Wes and Owen, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Owen Wilson wrote this movie. So when they,
Yeah.
so when Wes had the initial idea,
Yeah.
and then Owen started collaborating with him, and like yeah, and Owen started collaborating, saying, "Well, there was this one time we were shooting BB guns with our dad, and someone hit Andrew in the hand with the BB gun. You know, they wanted
Mm.
to use that. They used it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the original Falcon used to play Mordecai. He was
kidnapped,
he was
held
kidnapped. Yes,
for
during
ransom, held for
held
ransom.
for
Because yeah,
ransom.
and so in a couple shots, it's actually Mordecai's sister we see in the movie. Oh, this
And
I don't know how you. By the way, that's a whole. That would be a great movie. Can I say that? Like holding Mordecai for ransom. Why
it,
didn't they incorporate that into the
I
movie?
I would have, and what I think because they were already saying having so much to say. But what I thought was, I didn't know this fact until after I watched the movie, and it made me laugh because I'm like, okay, we get it. His feathers are white. Why we keep talking about this?
Yeah, he's gone through a traumatic experience. Obviously, no, it's just a different
Oh my
bird. Oh,
god, he's a different bird.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that was all of the trivia that I was gonna
awesome.
that I
Yeah,
had my three little tidbits.
yeah.
Um,
Andrew is, of
so
course, obvious. Also, the guy who chops off Margot's finger. Actually,
okay, didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
I
So
love how Wes wrote their reactions. No screaming. She just looks at him like,
yeah,
all right,
this dead again. Dead. Yeah,
I'm going back to my place.
exactly.
Like,
Again, deadpan. And
yes,
like I said, Wes is very. Again, this is when the movie changes because he doesn't show gore. Like a girl, like Margot loses her finger. Well, no reaction, no blood squirting everywhere. Then Richie cuts his wrist. And then not only do we see the blood and the hair and the whole thing,
the
we also see
scars.
exactly the scars. And he says, he describes as very Tim Burton type scars. And I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, so okay, so the movie has definitely changed.
yeah,
Again, this is just an extra thing.
it's just it's such great directing. It's such great
Oh
directing.
my god.
I wanna I wanna thank you, Joey, for coming on.
Hmm.
I have had a wonderful time with this
Oh,
conversation.
this was so
It's
much fun.
I knew from when you reached out to me, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah,
I just knew it's gonna be good. I love the insight, the things that I hadn't thought of that you brought up, and things that you knew. Like I appreciate all of that. I love all of that. And real quick, because I was as eager as you were to get right into it. I forgot to kind of introduce you and ask you like what you do and what you're up
great.
to. And I didn't realize until we were like 20 minutes in. I'm like, well,
Ah,
we're here.
they don't
I
need
will
to
do it
know.
at the end.
Yeah, they don't need to know. They don't need to know. That's great. That's
Oh
fantastic.
my
Yeah,
goodness! I mean,
yeah.
you did mention being a writer
Sure.
and playwright and director, but like I just wanted to give you that like what are you working on now? Like what?
I really appreciate that. You know what? If I could just, I think I mentioned it that I am doing this movie, and I've actually asked you. And little thing, guys, watch out for it because she's actually going to be she's actually going to be playing a little bit of a part in that movie. Actually, if we can get it together, if we can get it together. So yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God!
because we met at doing one of for a reading of one of my plays at yeah, Naked Angels.
Naked
So
Angels Tuesday at 9.
yeah, the greatest, honestly. Yeah, actually, yeah, you gave my brother his acting debut.
Oh
Yeah, that
yes,
was fun.
yes.
That was fun. For him to turn and see him to volunteer, turn my script and see a 2-page monologue he's never acted before. He's about to do it in front of strangers. You gave me the greatest gift in my life. Truly, that was the greatest gift in
I
my
think he
life.
did a good job too. Like I think he did a good job.
He did a wonderful job. He got laughs. He got laughs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I'm glad. That script again. I wanted to see what in that 2-page monologue I needed to get rid of, and I kind of don't think anything. If those laughs say anything,
I don't
yeah,
think either.
I'll probably edit it. But no. So seriously, no. Thank you so much for letting me be on this. This was an absolute blast. You know,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Hope
Thank
you guys
you.
enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you guys for coming on, for tuning in and being a part. I appreciate it. If anyone is interested in coming on and talking with me about a movie, just shoot me a DM. We'll get you on the schedule. I actually will be filming. I'm going to be a guest on a different podcast next week. So we're not going to have Hot Take Live next week, but the week after, I will return.
Just tears streaming down. I think you just sadness. You know, the screen, the movie just changed. The movie just changed.
The tone just changed. Yes. I should have changed the color.
Gray, blue, gray. Sadness, just tears.
Well, I want you to know that I will definitely have you on again.
Oh, so, great! I can't wait.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
This is not a one and done.
I did it! Yay! Yeah, I made it.
Yes. I'm talking.
I wasn't unbearable.
No.
I wasn't unbearable.
No. I wish I had more notes so I could write down some of your movie recommendations. I haven't watched everything that you mentioned, but Moonrise Kingdom, I do want to watch that.
Yes.
You had me at Bruce Willis.
Really. If he's, I'm telling you, when he is turned on, he is so turned on.
Yes.
He is ready. He is there. And we really do, like to make jokes about guys like that, action stars like that, who will fly, he has flown in on a helicopter in the middle of the field and done, a day's work for a couple $1 million. It's just it's just the kind of movie star he is. But then when he finds something he wants to do, like Sixth Sense or Moonrise Kingdom, or even just, by the way, edited role in this short Tarantino movie that was part of this whole big project called 4 Rooms, he came on screen as an uncredited part. You can't find him on IMDb for this movie, 4 Rooms. It's an amazing part. It's an amazing role.
Is it like on YouTube or something?
I'm sure you can find it everywhere. I found it at my local library because guys, you can still get free movies at libraries if you get a DVD player. Yeah, you can get Blu-ray, you can get anything you want. Just go on. Yeah, guys, libraries. Seriously, I can't stress it. I love that I get on this thing and I'm promoting libraries. It's great. Yeah, that's such a thing. Stamps.com and libraries.
I am an avid book lover and reader. In my later years, with having my children and my life and business, it's so much harder to take that time. But man, when I get into a good book, I get into a good book. And so I'm with you on that. And I have started to kind of work on building up my physical media again, because as awesome as streaming is, there's so much. I miss all the extras that you get with the DVD. Mm-hmm. I miss the director's cut. I miss the alternate endings, the alternate scenes. I miss the behind the scenes. I miss, I crave that. Obviously, I crave that. But that's for a conversation for another day. Mm-hmm. I will be talking to you and contacting you soon, Joey. Make sure you guys are following this young man. He is very talented. And I guess I still have a part. Oh my God.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And guys, follow Many But One Theater Company. They gave me my start. I am still working with them. Their shows are ridiculous. Remember, that's manybutone.com. That's manybutone.com, the website, and manybutone, many, no space, but no space, one.
Boom. Alrighty, well, I will see you guys in 2 weeks for the next Hot Take Live. And thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Joey. This has been amazing. We're doing this again sometime this year.
Yeah.
For real.
What movie are you doing next? What movie are you doing next time?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know until maybe 4 days or 5 days before, because I reach out.
Great.
I reach out. I give it over to the guests.
That's awesome.
Because that way they don't have the anxiety of having to be like, oh, wait, what did you see that I saw? I would rather take on that responsibility. Tell me 5 movies you've seen, and I will make my way into one of them.
Awesome. Oh, that's such a good way of doing that. That's such a good way. Okay. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to do this again. Cannot wait to do this again.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye. Guys.